In 1536, Hans Holbein the Younger drew a sketch of Jane Seymour. Jane Seymour was the third wife of King Henry VIII. Henry VIII of England is the famous king with the 6 wives. Divorced, beheaded, died. Divorced, beheaded, survived. And Jane Seymour was the third wife, and she was only married to Henry for about a year and a half, and then she gave birth to their son Edward, who later became King Edward VI. The sad thing is she died shortly thereafter, after Edward's birth. But I digress. Back in 1536, Holbein drew a sketch of Jane. And then from this sketch, he then painted her portrait. And this portrait is at the Kunst Historisches Museum in Vienna, Austria. And that painting, if you look at it, it is very detailed. There are also some differences between his original drawing of Jane and his completed artwork of Jane. And what I mean by some of the differences, if you look at Holbein's drawing of her, he, aside from being a painter, he also designed jewelry, among other things. And so that's why when you look at the drawing, well, there's some, I guess I would describe it as a discrepancy. There are some issues, and specifically the issue is if you look at the pearl necklace in the drawing, right here in the center is a pearl. So it's just a string of single pearls, but right here in the center of the pearl, he has a pendant hanging. And it's quite difficult unless you somehow have like a wire going up and hooking on one side, having a pearl, and then hooking on the other side. But if you just simply have like one hook on the pendant, you can't have that suspended from the pearl. And we see the transition from that to his painting of her, and instead of doing a single line of pearls, he has done a cluster of pearls. So it's 4 pearls, 2 on the top and 2 on the bottom, and then a gold flower with a jewel in the middle. So he changed the design from the original drawing to the painting and made it more decorative around the neckline. Aside from the pearls, another thing he did that helped add to the design, if you notice right along the square line of her neck, it actually looks like there is white work. White work is a type of embroidery. On her cuffs, she has black work. The difference being, one is done in black silk thread, and that's at the cuffs, and then around the square neckline, that is done in white silk thread. That is white on white, hence white work. From Holbein's original sketch of Jane Seymour, he also used this sketch to create the Whitehall Mural. And this mural was painted around 1536 to 1537, and it was a life-size mural on the wall. The sad thing is we do not have that original painting anymore, as it went up in flames in a fire in January 1698. But there is a copy, there is a portrait by, I believe it's Van Leemput, who painted the portrait of the life-size mural. So we still know that Holbein, because we also have a sketch that he has of Henry VIII and Henry VII. We don't have the sketch of Elizabeth of York and Jane Seymour, but based on this sketch, we know that he probably just used Jane Seymour's sketch, the one from before, because my guess is by the time this mural was completed, Jane Seymour had already passed away. But since he had the original sketch of her, she is in this mural portrait in the same position, looking in the same way, holding her hands the same way. Everything is identical, or at least very similar to the original sketch of Holbein that he made of Jane in 1536. Now fast forward to about 1540, and in the workshop of Hans Holbein, another painting of Jane Seymour was created. William says that this painting from 1540 is made in the workshop of Hans Holbein. So if you look at the original sketch and then you look at this painting, you'll see that you can definitely tell it's Holbein's work, but not his work, if that makes sense. And that means it looks like he did the outline, he did the sketching, but some of the final detail work, some of the later part of the painting, he may have let a student do. Or maybe he helped with the later painting, but the student drew it. When you look at it, it looks like someone took the sketch and made an exact copy in the painting. Do you remember the pearl necklace that I talked about before from the original sketch? Well, in this 1540 painting, you can see that exact single strand of pearls with the pendant hanging from a pearl. And also, if you look at the sleeves are not as decorative as they were in the first painting that Holbein had done of Jane Seymour, but it's almost an identical copy of the sketch he had made of Jane Seymour. And then if you look at other details, like the sleeves here are false sleeves or four sleeves, but then you also have the sleeve of the gown that's folded up. And if you look at the detail work around that, it's not as detailed as the original painting that Holbein had done. If you look around the square neckline, again, the detail work just isn't there. And so it has a lot of Holbein qualities to it, where compared to other artists, you can tell Holbein had a hand in this portrait, but it definitely looks like maybe a student was doing the portrait and he helped out where needed, but the student was doing a copy or painting a copy from the sketch. But regardless if Holbein did it himself or if the painting was done in the workshop of Hans Holbein, either way, Holbein had a hand in making the portrait. And so what I wanted to share with you today is from one portrait, this one sketch of Jane Seymour, we have two different blackwork embroidery patterns. And when I say blackwork is, I'm referring to the earlier geometric form, not the later 16th century English swirly floral form where you would use prick and pounce or pouncing. The blackwork embroidery that I'm focusing on is also known as double running stitch, Holbein stitch, or Spanish stitch. It is a geometric embroidery which is black silk thread on white linen. And when you look at Holbein's painting of Jane from about 1536 to 1537, in this painting, there is one pattern on the cuffs. Then fast forward to the painting from 1540 from the workshop of Hans Holbein, there is a different embroidery pattern on the same cuffs based on the same sketch from 1536. If you are interested in doing embroidery yourself, I highly recommend doing either one of these patterns. If you are interested in looking at these patterns, I will have them available on my Blackwork Embroidery blog with a link down below in the description. Thank you for checking out my YouTube channel. If you enjoyed this video and would like to watch more of my videos, please follow the links on the side of the page. Please select thumbs up that you like the video. It helps with the algorithm. If you have questions or comments, please post them below, and please click subscribe and ring the bell to be updated when new videos come out.